Good morning. My name is Timothy Omslike, and this morning I will be presenting the design project for the introduction phase of the product design program. And now in this project, I was designing a solution for integrating an AI chatbot into a fintech banking app. And this AI chatbot I have named and personalized as Amicus. And then the reason for this personalization is that research has shown that existing data has shown that users or customers, I have also made an anecdote of always using customers in this a project, interchanging customers and users to show that when designing a solution, right, it has to have this kind of this overlap or this kind of connection with the business requirements. So I'm not just designing and preferring solutions for just users, but also customers for a certain business. And then Amicus is the name of this chatbot. And then through the outline, which will also give us the hint at following the design thinking process from empathy and understanding the problem to iteration, and to also show the non-linearity of this design thinking process. Now we have the outline here. The first part of the outline, of course, we will get to meet George, which is our proto user, a customer, to understand his motivation, his need, his goals, and his struggles. And then in the second part, we get into the problem itself that we're preferring and designing a solution for. The third part takes us to sketching of our proposed solutions. On the fourth part, we are going to look at the testing, of course, which is really important part of the product design process to test our solutions. And then the fifth part will look at the iterations and how we've improved our design solutions. And of course, the last part, we will look at the conclusions and the design, how the design process have been so far, and what reflections are we taking away from this project. Now we are going to meet George and understand who George is, what his needs are, what his goals and motivations are as well. So this is George. George is 33 years. He is a construction worker living here in Denmark, and he prefers using digital-only banking, the fintech banking, because he prefers fast and transparent banking. But George has got a problem. His problem is that he doesn't understand his banking app. He doesn't really understand how it works, and that increases frustration and motivation. It increases frustration, rather. Sorry, beg your pardon. It increases the frustration for George. Now, George uh, is anxious about his finances, and he says here, and I'll quote, "I can't afford to make mistakes. Things needs to be clear, secure, and fast. No surprises." So this is George, and his behavioral pattern when using a banking app is that he is overly cautious because, of course, this his finances, and of course, George is a parent, and he cannot afford any errors because it would not only affect George but also his family as well. Now we will go through the goals and motivations of George. So for his goals, he wants complete banking tasks. He wants to complete his banking tasks quickly and securely. This is coming from his motivations of being unaware of the full banking functionalities. George doesn't quite get his banking app. He needs support and help no matter the task, no matter what banking task is trying to complete or perform. Having a support system, having help whenever he's trying to complete a banking task is extremely important. And this is coming from him being anxious over any error that may occur and feeling reassured that his funds are safe. Security and safety is really important for George, and this comes from uncertainty about the security and real reliability of this digital bank. Now we have to understand the general problem. Now, the general problem from user research has shown that customers they get frustrated and anxious when doing banking app, and this comes from not understanding how the interface works. So when this happen, when the customers meet this troubled situation, there needs to be a support system that help and offers personalized assistance to the customers. And when there is an absence of this system that can aid the customers, it makes them feel frustrated and anxious. And why that can be an effect, but not only that, but also general financial problems. And why this can, on the part affects the customers for the businesses, for the fintech banks, it triggers a low retention rate, which means that customers are not being retained, they are not using the banking service for a longer time, which can, of course, eat into the revenue of those businesses, of these fintech banks. And so, what are the struggle customers face when working with this problem of not fully understanding the fintech banking app and the absence, the little or no support for them. So they feel lost uh, uh, through numerous complicated banking interfaces. They miss out on knowing what they could do with the banking app. For example, a customer who would want to utilize, say, an investment product or subscribe to an investment product, but if the banking app is not designed uh, to offer effortless financial user experience for those customers, they might think that their bank does not offer the service, and that might lead them to go to other products to complete this goal. So also is support system inaccessibility, which means not having access to help when performing any financial task at all on their banking app, and also an increase in anxiety levels, which means that the customers feel anxious about the money, feel anxious about not understanding their banking app. So these are the struggles, these are the problems that customers face when using this, when trying to use their fintech banking app. So in our user research, in creating user stories and creating personas, like of course you met George early in the beginning, uh, we are as part of playing the part of a product designer, as part of the general, just only a part of the general product team. We brainstorm to look at how we can generate user stories, of course, from emanating from user research. And then we thought of how we can create, how might we, using the how might we problem solving methodology. So we look at how might we create effortless and clear banking for users. And how might we provide a reliable support system for them? And also, how might we provide assurance and safety for them? And then we thought about how can an AI integrating an AI chatbot, how can integrating Amicus in our uh, fintech banking product solve this problem for customers, solve this problem for the users, solve this problem for George. And then during the design workshop, prior to the design workshop, we 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 framed this problem in a way that, because, of course, while trying to empathize for the users, we're trying to place ourselves in the shoes of the users and trying to solve this problem. It's equally important that we also communicate this to other members of the product team. And here, so here there is the quote, as it was an email sent out to other members of the product team. And here, I, as a product designer, wrote to Jenna. Jenna is the content designer, and in there, pulling and making sense of existing user research data from the customer care section and from the compliance sections and so on. So I wrote to her saying, "Dear Jenna, 56% of our customers rate us highly for user satisfaction, and we recorded a 2% increase in subscription to our product investment offerings in the last month. We think we can do better." So this is how internally we framed this problem in creating a design workshop to brainstorm on and vote on proposed ideas and designing solutions for this problem. So after our design workshop, we came up with ideas that were then which we sketched. And then in the sketching, we also try to follow the Scamper method. The Scamper method is a method where you apply a series of checkpoints, a series of options to tick off, and one of them means like how do we rearrange our existing product in a way that they become more user engaging, in the way that they become even more productive, even more efficient for customers. And one thing we did was, since one of the recurrent problem, or the main problem, I would say, was that users could not understand the banking app. Users could not make sense. They found it complicated, as was seen in through George's statement, was to redesign the existing banking app. And then we did, and it shows here in the sketch, you can see here, was also trying to make the banking app interface more simple. And then the second part of the sketch was about the positioning and the of the AI chatbot launch button. Afterwards, I'm only going to refer to this AI chatbot as Amicus for easy reference. So the chat button for Amicus, and subsequently we have also on our sketch here the conversational flow, and also the way to exit the chat button. And then, of course, this was voted on as a solution to go into uh, design, prototyping. And so these sketches were then transformed into interactive prototype that will be tested by our participants. So we had to carry out a usability test. So our usability test was carried out by three participants of 15 minutes each video interview, while they were interacting in real time with the prototype. And then it was we carried out this user interview on Google Meet and WhatsApp, on these two platforms. And now the reason behind carrying out this user testing, this usability testing, as I had mentioned earlier about the larger design thinking process and its non-linear nature, was to understand, since we have created now, since we've proposed a solution and designed the solution to to produce an interactive prototype, How will users react to this? Are the uh, what are their reactions? What are the feedbacks on using this prototype? We have to ensure that it meets usability and functional standards as well, and to see in what areas we can improve this. But also, we are also testing the validity of the concept of introducing a chatbot into users' financial experience, and to see its potential on how it can create an engaging user experience and achieve our business goal of customer retention. So if the main problem we're designing a solution for is that users feel frustrated of lacking uh, a support system, how valid is the idea of integrating an AI chatbot or integrating Amicus into the existing fintech banking app? And so this is a visual of the early prototype that's emanated from the sketch. And then we would see now how this product failed because it was a failure. And this we found that by usability testing. And I will go on then to demonstrate that this is the reason why usability testing is so invaluable. If we had designed a prototype and went into production without first testing this prototype with users, that would have been a colossal failure of spending and wasting resources like time and also funds, because we would not have known uh, uh, the difficulties, whether functional or usability in this regard, of the problem that it cost the customers. But through usability testing, we could then understand. I could then understand that it would have been even counterproductive to have proceeded with this prototype. And then these our three participants who were kind enough to enroll for our usability testing. The first participant was Sandra, who is 26 years old. She's a research consultant. She is not new to mobile banking. Of course, she uses mobile banking, but she do not currently or actively at the moment using a digital only bank. And this was also her first time participating in the usability test. A second, we have Fatima, who is a bachelor. She's 24 years old and currently studying a bachelor. She also, like Fatima, shares the attribute of uh, using mobile banking, but not a digital only bank, and was also her first time participating in a usability test. Then we have Joseph. Joseph is a construction worker and also a mobile banking user, but an attribute that Joseph has, which is different from that of Sandra Fatima, is Joseph is an ideal participant because he also uses digital only banking. And just like the other participant, it was the first time he was participating in a usability test. And what were the tasks assigned to our participants? Now, they had four tasks. The first task was for them to imagine a scenario where they were a busy professional that prefers digital only banking. And of course, they want as a customer, they want safe, clear, and transparent banking. So the first task was for them to use the AI chatbot, to use Amicus to complete a banking task. The whatever banking task they wanted to complete was left at their user discretion. And the second task was for them to initiate a session, a chat session with Amicus, and then for them to observe if the responses of Amicus was was relevant to their queries. The third task they had to complete was looking at the responses of the chatbot and then offer feedback how they feel about using Amicus to complete a banking task rather than doing them themselves. How they felt about this automation of having a smart assistant, having Amicus carry out the banking task for them. And the last part, of course, was about the notification feature that was part of the proposed solution that was designed as part of the interactive prototype. The fourth task was for them to use this notification feature from Amicus and offer feedback on whether they understood what Amicus was communicating to them and what reaction and impact it had on them, whether or not they were distracted from their banking tasks. Now, these are the feedbacks gotten. These are the feedbacks gotten from our participants. Now, all three of them offered invaluable feedbacks that made possible improving the design solution. Now, beginning with Sandra, and I will go in and read the quotes from our participants. Sandra had said on completing the tasks, it did more than I asked. I am so glad it knows and addresses me by my name. I like being informed, but I also don't want that to interrupt me. For example, like when I want to send money. Now, going to the feedback from Fatima. I feel it's useful even when I cannot contact customer care. The chatbot can help me complete tasks quicker and when seeking help. Maybe the responses can be grouped as one because I don't like to scroll long in a chat. While trying to click the chat button, it's easy for me to click other navigation button by mistake. Now, Joseph, the chatbot makes my banking experience more engaging and I can fully integrate into my daily banking. The chatbot helped me fulfill my goal of fast banking. And the last quote from Joseph says, the feedback from the chatbot about the updates was understandable, but including it in the chatbot interface might overwhelm me. Now, to get an overview of the usability testing, the feedback from our participants, now we have three criteria of functionality, usability, and the business requirements. Now, looking at the task, now the participants understood they had little or no problem understanding the functionality of Amicus. They found Amicus as something functional and useful for them. However, there were there were some usability issues that mandated the design solutions to be improved before we can think of production. So just to go get an overview of our analysis. Now, as I've mentioned earlier, the functionality, the participant demonstrated that there were no major functional challenges with the chatbots. In terms of business requirements and validation, it was also positive impact because we could validate the product team. I, as a product designer, also part of the product team, could validate that integrating an AI chatbot to act as a smart assistant for our customers and using the fintech banking app was positive. It was a valid idea as our participant gave us the feedback uh, to show that they were delighted with such a concept. and also the usability. Now, in the as part of the usability, we encountered some challenges that was to help us improve our design solution. Now, first things first, a critical usability problem was the placement of the chatbot button. Now, referring back to our persona as part of the research, George. Now, a critical problem for George has been that he did not understand, he did not get his banking app. And that stems from having a cluttered or a complicated banking interface. So we can see that even though the functionality, of course, our participant could understand and that they helped us in validating this concept, but the usability was something different altogether because they could not use Amicus, they couldn't use this smart assistant effortlessly. And that was a critical problem. But also there was problem usability issues with the design, the design of the conversation flow, and how Amicus, the way it was structured to break up its chat responses, could create a problem where customers, the user was had to scroll uh, a long time to get the answers. And also in terms of the readability and legibility of the responses from Amicus was also proven to be a challenge for our customers. And lastly was also the update feature from Amicus. We could see that it could increase the cognitive load of our customers. It could increase the cognitive load of the participants who want a fast, clear, safe, and transparent banking. So this feature, going with this feature means that it will negate whatever solution we are trying to provide to this problem because it will then be counterproductive. And then these are our improved solutions. So the first thing in improving and iterating on the design solution was to change the placement, change the button of the chatbot. Now, the efficient way of doing it was to integrate the chatbot as part of the existing bottom navigation in the banking app. So this way, it will be easier for the user, the customer, to click on it, but also in a way that it doesn't clutter the interface of the customer and doesn't make the customer or the user feel more confused when using their banking app. And there was also improvement in the conversational flow of the chatbot of Amicus to make sure that users did not need to scroll for a long time to get the answers from the chatbot. And then also we have the last part where the fonts and the structure of the chatbot in this conversation flow is more legible and clearer for customers to read and for customers to understand. And then now, looking at the reflections and the conclusion of this project so far, the positives, what have went well was that users helped the product team, helped me, the product designer, to validate the concept of integrating an AI chatbot into banking experience, into financial user experience. But also, it was it was a positive, it was a plus that users could understand the functionality of the AI of the AI smart assistant of Amicus, and also we could witness and I will quote again Sandra would said that you know, I am so glad it knows me by my name. So this goes to prove that personalizing and personalization is critical for digital banking. So customers, users feel more engaged, feel more confident when their digital banking services are personalized to their unique needs. So witnessing firsthand how personalization of user experience can improve overall user engagement and foster a sense of loyalty towards a certain product was definitely a positive. One of the things that went well in this design project. And then the things that did not go well or some negatives we need to reflect and think about was uh, the the first prototype was faulty. The first prototype had lots of usability problems, and but this also I would go on to add now that this is one of the reasons why usability testing is critical, is invaluable. Because without it, we would not have been able. I would not have been able. The larger product team would not have been able to uncover the usability problems uh, that 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 occurred when users were interacting with this prototype. And then if that had gone into production and rolled out for customers, it would have been a waste of time and resources. So also, second part is that the notification feature specifically was counterproductive, and then we had to leave that out in the iteration that was done on the design, and a way we would think of subsequently as part of continuous iteration of the product, of course, because like I said, the non-linearity of the design thinking process, we always have to make improvement to create even more engaging experiences for the user, for the customer. A future reflection would be to integrate this feature as a push notification for the customers rather than right there as an in-app notification. But also another usability challenge, something that did not go well, was the legibility and readability in the conversational flow. Like something that we would think uh, was light in terms of other usability problem was extremely important. Like when our customers could not, when the user could not, was not, when it was not easy to read and understand what the reply of the chatbot uh, was given to their queries, that could increase user frustration and also become counterproductive of providing a solution to this design problem. And then the general reflection I have had personally, the product team have had from embarking of this project has been to view firsthand the end-to-end application of the design thinking process, right? It's one thing to understand the theory, the product thinking theory of how a product designer works, but also the application of designing a solution for users, for customers, could not overestimate, could not overemphasize the linear process of design thinking, of always having to iterate and keep improving, keep empathizing, keep researching, and keep ideating and rolling out, not borrowing the words of to borrow the words of Teresa Torres from Continuous Discovery. Design process should focus on and should be driven by should be sent should be uh, outcome centered, not output centered, right? So this having to work firsthand with this nonlinearity nature of the design thinking process was a plus, something that I have reflected on as well. But also being aware of my own biases, having preferring some certain design principles or some certain design method, but all of that, becomes inconsequential because the most important thing is placing and empathizing, placing the user, the customer, at the center of everything. In transforming the research into an ideas, transforming user research into ideating and proposing solutions for a design problem, something that should not escape our mind, something that should help us help me as well as a product designer, but the general product team uh, to keep the biases in check is to always empathize. Let it be user centric. Let it be customer or user driven. But also a very important one that is also invaluable and stuck with me. It was, I could say, like of an epiphany of some sort, has been the differences, how niche differences affect AI. Of course, AI is the state of the art right now in terms of technological development. And then when we look at how AI is being utilized in across different industries, of course, in digital products, whether in social media like WhatsApp or in the utility or product sector like a software as a service or even in designing CRM products. Uh, a common design pattern has been placing the button to initiate the AI session low in the lower part of the screen. But then adopting such a method arbitrarily, incorporating it into digital banking, into whether it's traditional banks or fintech banks, this project has shown that that can be really problematic and counterproductive for users and customers because when you use such a design principle, when you use such a design pattern, leaving the button to initiate the AI session in the lower part of the banking interface disrupts user engagement and disrupts the experience for the customers. Because, for example, uh, from the user usability testing we conducted, we could see that that can create problems. For example, a simple example is being that customers could then mistakenly click on that button when wanting to complete other tasks, and that is going to disrupt the tax flow and also the general user flow of the customers. So, a design solution that we reached, we used was to integrate this chatbot button into the bottom navigation of the banking app, or to add it in a separate section of the banking app as part of extra functions, extra functionalities of the banking app. For example, in the banking app, we use is can be found in the more section on the bottom navigation. So this way, we make the banking interface clutter-free and effortless for the user, the customers to conduct and carry out their banking tasks. So this is something that I have reflected, and it's more of like an epiphany, a great revelation for me that also niche differences matter when we design a product, when we try. This demonstrates to us that niche differences matter when we try to design solutions for user problems and or customer problems. Thank you. That has been my presentation. And I look forward to your comments, your feedbacks, and your critics. Thank you so much.